Now, one of the best ways to investigate how an engagement score came about is done through using an analysis called cluster analytics. Cluster analyses are designed to actually sort individual survey respondents into different groups depending on how they responded to those 7 engagement items. After doing this analysis considering hundreds of thousands of employees across healthcare in the United States, what the analysis showed was that there are 5 distinctly different types of engagement profiles circulating in healthcare organizations throughout the country. Now let's take a look at the different profiles of engagement and really what this means. I want to start you off by looking at the extreme end of the graphic over here, where we see highly engaged employees. The green arrows all the way down this column indicate that this particular profile of engagement is rating all these items wildly favorably. So they're the most engaged type of employee that we have in healthcare today. I want to draw your attention to the extreme right side of this particular graphic, and you'll see a series of all downward pointing red arrows. And really what this means is that on every one of these engagement items, this group gave a significantly low score. Now, the 2 extremes here constitute the highly disengaged and the very engaged in the organization. But perhaps the most interesting groupings of employees really fall in the middle of this graphic. Let's take this group here called detaching first. You can see that it's almost the lowest level of engagement possible in the organization, with the exception of one item. That is, this group still exerts a relatively reasonable and average level of effort, yet they feel very poorly about the other markers of engagement. Now, if we look at this group called campers, we just take a look at that profile. This is a particular fascinating group. Unfortunately, these are the groups of people that feel very terribly about virtually every aspect of the organization, except they're not going anywhere. They're staying with that organization. You can see that they're not interested at all in leaving. So they really are problematic for any organization. Now, to me, the most fascinating group, and often the most disturbing group for an organization to realize that they actually have circulating in their organization, is this group called seekers. You can see the profile on this group is that they exert an extremely high level of effort. They take a great deal of pride in the organization. They would promote it as a workplace to anyone. They're highly satisfied and they feel strongly connected. They sense this a great level of contribution to the organization. They really feel caught up in part of the mission of the organization. However, they want to leave the organization at the next possible opportunity. More troubling, perhaps, is that if we were to average the engagement score for this group, what we would quickly realize is their overall engagement score indicates that that seekers group is actually above average on engagement. So without really unpacking that engagement score and understanding how that score came to be, this group would go completely undetected in the organization, yet it's a very high-risk group for leaving. The bottom line with seekers is, if you can't give them what they need, they'll go elsewhere to get it from a career development standpoint. So these are certainly folks that you don't want to lose as an organization. They're difficult to replace, and they're typically some of the hardest workers in the organization. They're simply looking at your organization as a career stepping stone to another opportunity.